Hello, wonderful person. Wish you a very good health. Treasure hunting is an adventurous activity. It's the physical search for treasure. Treasure hunters try to find sunken shipwrecks and retrieve artifacts with market value. This industry is generally fueled by the market for antiquities. People indulge in it for different reasons. Some do it as a hobby or just for fun. Some do it to unravel some historical facts from something old. Others are simply in it for financial gains. Welcome to Mystery TV 9. There is a history of shipwrecks within the great state of Florida that is both tragic and inspiring. Anyone who lives between Vero Beach and Sebastian, Florida, likely already knows the story of the 1715 Spanish fleet. In fact, you may be one of the lucky locals who has found a gold coin wash ashore on your trip to the beach. The story behind this Spanish fleet is remarkable, to say the least, especially after the most recent jaw-dropping discovery in 2015. King Philip V, beleaguered monarch of Spain, orders a fleet to gather treasure from the New World. 12 ships were overloaded with over $1 million worth of gold and silver coins, precious gems, and Incan riches. On July 31st, 1715, 12 ships known as the 1715 Spanish Treasure Fleet departed from Havana, Cuba, on their way back to Spain. The 1715 Treasure Fleet was actually a combination of two Spanish treasure fleets returning from the New World to Spain. The New World is a term for the majority of Earth's western hemisphere, specifically the Americas. The term gained prominence in the early 16th century, also known as Europe's Age of Discovery. As the trade routes went back then, the ships would need to pass along the southern coast of Florida in order to make the trip across the Atlantic on the journey back to Spain. In the early morning hours of July 31st, 1715, one of the richest Spanish treasure fleets ever assembled was in trouble. Carrying a fortune in gold, silver, and jewels from Spain's New World Empire, the 1715 fleet was trying to outrun an ominous storm pursuing it up the Florida Straits. The bulky treasure-laden galleons were not fast enough. By 2 a.m., 100 miles per hour winds, torrential rains, and mountainous waves broke over the fleet. A Category 4 or 5 hurricane had caught the Spanish treasure fleet in the Florida Straits. They were trapped in the channel. They had nowhere to go. 11 of the 12 ships in the fleet, including all of the treasure galleons, were lost, either capsizing in deep water or tossed upon the reefs and sandy shores off of the Florida coast. More than 1,000 men and women, crew and passengers, perished with the ships in the fury of the hurricane. A 12th ship, the French frigate Griffin, had also sailed with the fleet. Its captain was unfamiliar with the Florida coastline and elected to stay further out to sea. The Griffin safely returned to Europe. By dawn the next morning, the desolate beach was strewn with lifeless bodies and littered with wreckage. It was one of the worst sea disasters of all time. Bedraggled survivors became castaways along the Florida coast. With the ships went millions of dollars in silver coins, gold coins, artifacts, treasure, and so much more. This treasure set off a frenzy over the years for treasure hunters who were seeking to find it and claim it. Pirates, privateers, and looters in the 17th century all converged toward what is now present-day Sebastian, with some making off with very valuable items. The location of where these ships went down is between present-day Vero Beach and Sebastian, Florida. Divers have been combing this area beginning in the 1960s, and it's still ongoing to this day. The Spaniards abandoned the salvage camp in 1718, despite leaving incredible treasure behind. However, with time and more modern machinery, hunters would find so much more than they anticipated. treasure hunter Wagner's team built an exhibit held at National Geographic Explorers Hall in Washington, D.C. that was featured in the January 1965 issue of National Geographic. This was the beginning of a fine collection of 1715 plate fleet treasure that brought hundreds of visitors from around the world. Wagner published his book, Pieces of Eight, Recovering the Riches of a Lost Spanish Fleet in 1966. This is a detailed account of the finding and exploration of many of these shipwrecks along Florida Treasure Coast. The Treasure Coast is a region of the U.S. state of Florida. It is located on the state's Atlantic coast, comprising Indian River, St. Lucia, and Martin counties. In fact, famous ship diver Mel Fisher was the one to find the Spanish galleon Nuestra de Atacha in the 1970s. Aboard this ship was the Atacha motherlode, which included 40 tons of gold and silver, plus Spanish silver coins. In total, the cash was worth $450 million. Mel Fisher's treasures eventually sold the rights of the shipwreck to another treasure hunting company, Queen's Jewels, LLC. This proved to be quite fruitful for founder Brent Brisbane, who went on to discover $4.5 million in gold coins from the 1715 wreck in 2015. People can visit the site of the survivors and salvagers camp near McLarty Treasure Museum, as well as various collections of treasure showcased at museums across the state. You may even be one of the lucky ones, just walking the beach after a storm and finding a gold coin glistening in the sun. Believe it or not, it's way more common than you think. We will cover many more treasure sites around the world. Hope you have enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. See you in another mysterious video.